Hello, fire goddesses, and welcome to episode 100. Hard to believe. I know that it's been 100 episodes already, but it's here. It's here. And I'm really excited, really excited because this particular episode is going to be so valuable to you, especially if you are finding that you are getting into fear, worry, stress, anxiety, depression, anger, or any kind of emotion like that, especially now, because there's a lot of circumstances right now that are driving the emotions of many people. And I'm here to let you know that you can be at inner peace at all times despite your circumstances. And I want to highlight the fact that what is on the other side of your fear and of your worry and your anxiety, depression, etc., is an opportunity for you to have the best life possible. So I want to keep this brief. You will discover everything that you need to know in this episode, and I trust that you are really going to enjoy this one and that you are really going to get a lot of value out of it. So make sure you listen till the end and tag all of your takeaways on Instagram by taking a screenshot of this episode and tagging me on Instagram with your takeaways at i.am.angela.noel. All right, fire goddesses, stay tuned. Hello, fire goddesses. Welcome to the Reclaim Your Fire podcast. My name is Angela Noel, and I am a prosperity coach for the newly awakened or awake curious, driven overachiever, and overdoer. After running a successful acupuncture practice in Boston for 12 years, I decided to hang my hat by closing the practice and pursue what it is that I'm really meant to do in this world, and that is to serve humanity online on a global scale. Using my background in Chinese medicine, along with the brain science of habits, spirituality, and divine masculine and feminine energy balance, I am here to help you not just understand, but know how powerful you are and that you are the person who is responsible for having the finances, inner peace, radiant health, and energy, aka the fire, in your life that you've always desired. My intention with this podcast is to serve humanity, no matter what gender you identify as, to help bring out the divine feminine goddess in each and every one of you. As you probably are already aware, the world is changing and is begging for the goddess to come out in each and every one of you. So, fire goddesses, stay tuned. Hello, fire goddesses, and welcome to episode 100. Wow. It's really hard to believe, actually, that I've had 100 episodes of this podcast. It started out with a different name, The Empowered Warrior. I changed it to Reclaim Your Fire with Angela Noel. But it's still the same podcast. And I have been thinking about when I started this podcast, which was in May of 2020. I started it basically because it was the pandemic and I had a mentor that was strongly encouraging me to start one. And I want to add this very important piece to it, and it was something that I've always wanted to do. I would say for the past 2 to 3 years, it was something that had really piqued my interest. And I started it in May of 2020 when all the business owners of the world were pivoting. And as you know, when the times change, that is the time to change with the times, change with the tides, right? If we stay the same all the time, were going to get left behind. So for those people that did really well during COVID and lockdowns and all the things, all the businesses that succeeded during that time, all the businesses that started during that time that are taking off, those were the ones that decided to pivot and pivot again, right? The ones that kind of that didn't quite make it or got pushed off to the side, those businesses, there's probably a lot of them that aren't around anymore, are there? So that is a little mini lesson for you. Whether you're a business owner or whether you're just going through a challenge because of the circumstances that are going on right now in the world, it's kind of crazy, isn't it? That this is actually an opportunity. What is the silver lining here? What is the lesson here? So that you can change and evolve and grow with the times. And in the process, not just learn the lessons, but have what you want on the other side of that. You know, so many people are stuck in fear and worry, and that's actually what I'm going to talk about today in this episode. And that's why I started off talking about the 100 episodes in this process of becoming a podcaster. I mean, really, once I started podcasting, it was easy. I just needed to plan a little bit of content, get on my computer with a microphone, really limited, very, very limited. I mean, you don't really even need a microphone. I know podcasters that got started just by recording into their phone. The audio is not great, but if you have good content, people really don't care much about that. And then as you grow into your business and as your podcast grows, then you can start to buy the equipment and hire a podcast editor and whatever it is that you need in order to grow. And I remember the first time I really thought about, wow, it would be really fun to be a podcaster. And I thought, I can remember this really specifically because I was at an event and it was a business event, and there was a little breakout room for podcasting, for entrepreneurs who wanted to start podcasting. And it was a panel of maybe 5 or 6 business owners who had podcasts, and they were talking about how they got started and what you need to do and what subscriptions you need and what equipment you need. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is overwhelming. However, it's just because it's something new. It was something new to my brain. So, when you get into overwhelm and fear, it's not really, hardly ever is it because it's actually overwhelming or something worth fearing. It's because it's something new to the brain, and the brain hasn't yet had a chance to process that. And because the ego wants to keep us safe and free from harm and in our little comfort zone, it's going to try all the things to keep us comfortable, including to tell us starting a podcast is overwhelming, starting a podcast is hard, starting a podcast is expensive, or whatever it is. And I'm just using my journey with becoming a podcaster as an example, but if you're a goddess listening right now and there's something that you've always wanted to start and you're identifying like, oh yeah, I remember feeling that way, or oh, I'm actually feeling that way right now. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I want to start my business. I want to expand my business. I want to put myself out there more when it comes to finding a partner. Whatever it is, insert your thing that you truly desire and ask yourself this: am I choosing to be in my comfort zone and allowing the overwhelm and the fear to take over me? Or am I choosing to look at it from a different lens and ask better questions in order to reframe my thoughts or stop the thoughts or make up different interpretations of my thoughts or your thoughts in order to discover if what that venture it is that you are desiring and craving is worth looking into. Now, chances are, if you're still listening, I mean, I know I'm only 6 minutes in or so, but if you're still listening to this, I'm guessing at this point I've piqued your interest because there's something that you want, and chances are you're afraid to do it. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how everything that you actually desire in your life, no matter what it is on the other side of fear and worry. And I know that I've done similar podcast episodes about this before, but you'd have to dig into the archives, go back and listen. I should have looked. Maybe I will. I will put it in the show notes, what episode that is. But I feel like I could talk about fear and worry, anxiety. I could talk about all those emotions and blind spots that come up subconsciously often. A lot of times we don't even know that it's going on because it's like we're playing, it's playing in the background until we actually realize it and uncover it. That's when we can actually, start to dive deeper and dig deeper and discover, what is causing these blind spots to happen in the first place, these subconscious patterns. Where did we learn these? And how can we learn to work with these patterns so that we can move past our roadblocks? Because if you're listening to this, chances are you are in a roadblock. So when I was in my roadblock involving starting a podcast, I just decided that, hey, this is something that I really want to do. I'm actually interested in it. I think it would bring me joy. I think it could help a lot of people. And I marched forward with it. And you don't need to have a team in order to start a podcast. It just so happened that at that particular time in my life, I did have a team and they helped me do it, and I was able to do it very quickly. But you can still do a podcast without a team. And I'll let you know that to this day, I'm actually still editing my own podcasts because I choose to, because I actually kind of like it. I find it fun. I find it enjoyable. At some point, I probably will hand it off. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you can do, and you can have anything that you could ever imagine in your life. Anything is possible. Anything is possible. But it's a matter of actually diving a little bit deeper and discovering what is behind these blocks. What is behind these blocks? So, a lot of times, once we actually start doing the thing and making a habit of it, it's just normal, right? Like, think about it. Has there ever been a time where you started doing something that you were resisting? Maybe it's getting back to the gym. Maybe it's going to yoga. Maybe it's cooking for yourself, or, making healthy meals for your family on a regular basis every day. And in the beginning, there's resistance, right? Because it's a lot more comfortable to not do those things. But I invite you to question yourself. If you're thinking, oh, it's a lot more comfortable to sit at home in my chair watching Netflix or HBO instead of going to the gym, or instead of making a really good meal. I question actually that, because many times we as humans, we're conditioned, right? We're conditioned for safety and to stay out of danger. So in that process, we're choosing to stay comfortable in the name of safety instead of going out and doing the thing. But let me ask you this, okay? Are you really avoiding the pain by not doing the thing, right? Like, yes, it's comfortable. I love to just sit at home in my love sack with my blankie and learn Portuguese on my phone. Like, learning foreign languages I don't have a TV right now, okay? So if you're listening and you're like, really? Like, that's what you consider relaxing? Actually, yes. Because I don't have a TV right now, there hasn't been anything on. I do have Netflix still, and I have Hulu, I think, because it came with my phone when I got my phone. I might still have like the Disney Plus or whatever, but I haven't found anything that is worth watching at this point. So That's what I do for fun. Is I sit in my love sack when I need a break and I go on my phone. Sometimes it's social media, but a lot of times I just sit and I go into my Duolingo app and I practice Portuguese. Or sometimes it's if I get kind of tired of Portuguese, I'll practice Spanish, or I'll go back to French. Or I think I have Latin in my Duolingo account too, because it's something that I'm truly interested in. But going back to being in your comfort zone, what in the long term is more comfortable to you? Is it sitting on your couch and watching TV, or is it the years and years and years of pain associated with not doing the thing, with not doing that thing that you've always wanted to do? Do you know how many people I talk to that are like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to learn how to play guitar, or learn how to paint, or learn how to dance salsa, or I'm thinking of some of the other kinds of dances, belly dancing, or I don't know. I can't think of them now. I'm drawing a complete blank. But how many times have I talked to people, and you've probably talked to people like this, it's been a decade or 2 decades, and somebody who wants to do something that will bring joy to them, and they don't do it out of fear. So what do you have to lose by doing the thing? What do you have to lose? And where will you be? One of my favorite questions, where are you going to be a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now if you don't do the thing? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm 50. So let's face it, none of us know how long we're going to be in these physical bodies. We don't know. And if you're like most people, most people don't like to talk about this or even think about this, about death, right? But as one of my mentors says, death is your greatest advisor. Write that down. Death is your greatest advisor. What does that mean to you? Knowing that you only have, even if it's 10 years, 20 years on the planet, you don't know, okay? That's just assuming you're living a normal lifetime. 30 years, 40 years, you don't know. So what becomes possible when you discover that what it is that you want, that you're fearful to do, right? Because overwhelm is just a form of fear. Overwhelm is a choice. And it is, when you become involved in overwhelm, it's just another way of staying in your comfort zone, believe it or not. Because the brain's just like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. There's too many things to do, so I'm just going to do nothing. So overwhelm is just another form of procrastination, and procrastination is rooted in fear. Most of the reasons why we don't do the things that we actually want to do is rooted in fear. And a lot of times it comes from feeling either not good enough or not loved. Actually, all the time. Let's put it out there. Not feeling good enough or not loved. So most of us walk around with low self-worth. And that comes, most of the time, it doesn't even come from us. It comes from a learned pattern that came from our family, our ancestors. We learned it. It was a message that came through that just sticks with us, right? We're not, for some reason in society, humans are not, there's very few that are walking around with naturally high self-worth. And it takes often a lot of work, but a lot of worthwhile work, I believe, to get through that block. Because on the other side of the low self-worth and the fear and all the things is opportunity to have copious amounts of inner peace. As you know, in just over a week from now, I'm going to be doing a masterclass. Now, I'm recording this in November of 2022, so if you're listening to this after the masterclass goes, this is still relevant for you. This is still relevant for you. But one of the things that I'm hearing is that people are like, why do I need this masterclass? Why do I need to learn how to be at inner peace? I know how to do that already. Or that actually sounds kind of indulgent to be in a class about inner peace. So if that's the case, then why do so many people tell me that more than money and what's more important to them than anything else in the world, any material possession in the world, is that they want inner peace. They want inner peace for themselves. They want happiness for themselves. They want more joy. They want to be able to spend quality time with the people that they love. And yet they're not living that life. They're not living that reality. And now let's just compound it with all the things that are going on right now. As you know, I don't pay attention really to the news, and it's not like I'm bragging and making that like, you know, like I deserve a medal when I say that, but I share that because I really do believe that's one of the things that I don't do. It's one of the things that really helps me in preserving my inner peace is I choose not to engage with what the media is telling me, because it's all basically for the most part negative. And even if there are positive stories embedded within the news and the news stories, you need to kind of dig through the negative noise in order to get the positive. So I choose not to engage. If there's something that I actually need to know, I'll know about it. I'll find out about it. I really do believe that it's causing catastrophic damage when there's all these things going on in the world and people are choosing to turn their TVs on and listen for hours. Some people just keep it on playing in the background for hours and hours and hours and hours. And again, it's your choice. This is not a judgment. My intention always with this podcast is to offer different perspectives, is to get you thinking about maybe some of the habits that you have that are not serving you. So it's never in my intention to, virtue signal? Did I use that correctly? Or pass judgment on to the way that you're living your life. But let's face it, there's things that are going on that people are tolerating that are not in our best interest. I've always felt this deep within my being. It's not like I just, in the last few years, you may know me as a podcaster in the last couple of years, or this is something that I felt very, very deeply in my being since I was a very little girl. Like I just didn't understand why we do the things that we do. And as a result, I believe that that's why I incarnated during this time, is to help wake humanity up. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. It's just how I've always sensed that. There's just certain things that I just don't, it just makes absolutely no sense to me. And that's not really, it's not my intention to really go into that. But when I say things and when I write things and when you hear from me and I'm saying, like, I'm talking about how there's certain things that are happening that we need to wake up to, it's not because I'm trying to judge or say that my way is better or I'm holier than thou. It's because I know that my dharma, my reason for existing during this time, is to help people in this huge paradigm shift we're going into right now. And that is, we're basically going a culture where we were basically through many, many, many generations. And I'm talking like thousands and tens of thousands. I'm not just talking like the last 200 years. Like this has been going on for so long that we just accept it as our truth. When in actuality, it's not our truth. We're actually really, really powerful human beings. And that is my reason for saying the things that I say. That is my reason for like the shock value of some of the things that I say sometimes, because I want you to pay attention. I want you to listen. I want you to wake up, and I want you to realize your true potential. And it's not just I'm not just like here, like, I mean, you should see me. My hands and my arms are waving right now, and I have a shoulder injury. Like, I want you to get it, I want this for you. And that's why I closed my acupuncture practice. Like, I had a busy practice, and I closed it so that I could reach more people online, because I saw this as an opportunity to reach more people so that people get out of their fear and get out of their worry and go out and do the thing. Go out and do the thing, right? Imagine this. Okay, so last night actually. So I don't live in Boston. I live in a city not far away from Boston. And I have a dog, as you probably know, Ayla. She's almost 7. She's a rescue from Puerto Rico. I got her before the hurricane. And she's got a lot of fear issues and a lot of anxiety issues. As you know, we moved recently in the last 7 months ago from the suburbs where, we lived in a pretty quiet house where there wasn't a lot going on, to now, it's like a little fishbowl. Like, I live in the city where I have neighbors very close to me, and I live in a condo, so I have people upstairs and people to the side of me. And, I look out my window and I know that my neighbor is taking out her trash, like that kind of thing, right? So when I take Ayla for a walk, there's usually 10 to 30 times during the walk where she sees something that she's afraid of. And it's either a noise, or it's, she sees a man, she's afraid of men, she's afraid of kids. So I was walking her last night, and in order to get to, there's a really nice little park. There's actually several nice little parks within walking distance in my neighborhood. And there's this one park that I'd like to take her that's really, easy, and I can give her like a good 45-minute walk and come home. I take her there a lot. And last night I was walking her for the last time of the day, and the traffic, because I live, kind of in between two busy roads. Like, my road's fairly quiet, but the roads, that intersect my street are pretty busy. And so we're walking along one of those busy streets, and it's like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. And the traffic was just, there was so many cars. This is a Tuesday night, okay? I don't know where all this traffic came from. And people were honking and yelling. And I'm like, at first, my first reaction was, that's really interesting behavior. Like, I started to get into my judgment a little bit. Like, what's all this honking about? What are people so upset about? I mean, it's 10 o'clock at night. Like, get a grip, right? That's my first reaction. And then I realized, oh my God, there's another angry person. This just tells me right now that I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot of work to do, because the fact that people are going around now, again, I live in Boston, or I live outside of Boston, where people are very, very proud about their honking and their road rage. Okay. However, if you get really honest with yourself, if you're a honker, road rager person, I used to do that, It used to make me feel terrible, so I stopped, to be perfectly honest. I didn't like, that I would get into work like revved up, and I used to go see my patients. I'd show up to my office, have patients ready to treat them. I mean, do you want the person that's treating you, your medical person, to come into work rageful? Think about that, right? So the next time you decide you want to honk your horn or get impatient, think about the people that could be impacted by your choices, right? And like I said, I felt awful. Like, I physically felt awful. I had like, oh my gosh, pain, constant pain and tightness in my shoulders and my neck. I had constant chronic headaches when I lived that way. So I just stopped all that shit altogether. So here's the thing, right? When somebody honks their horn, just using this as an example, when somebody gets into road rage anger, what is going on in that person's world? Like, it's not about the slow person in front of you that just won't go. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, sometimes it's frustrating when the person's not paying attention on their phone and they don't go when the light turns green. However, is it worth raising your blood pressure, getting into rage, affecting the people around you because you're angry? I mean, think about the ripple effect when you are in your shit, okay? Think about the reason for changing your life. If you don't feel that you are worthy of changing your life, or that you are deserving to spend the money on, I don't know, a therapist or a coach or an exercise program or somebody that's going to help you with your meal planning, if you don't think that you're worthy, because like I said earlier, the reason why most people don't invest in themselves or do the work is because they don't think they're worthy to spend the money on themselves, right? That's why they don't think they're worth it. So if you don't think that you're worth doing the work to work with your rage or your anger or your constant guilt or shaming, or if you've been gaslit, or if you're the gaslighter, well, if you're a narcissist, you probably don't know you're a narcissist or want to actually admit it. But if you don't feel that you're worthy enough to go out and do the thing that is going to change your life so that you have a better time existing on this planet, think about the ripple effect. Think about the people that are in your life that are affected by your shit day in and day out. How does that make you feel? Again, not trying to, I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty. Guilt and shame are the lowest vibrational emotions on the planet. I want people to be in a state of inner peace, which is high vibration. But not that my intention is for everybody to have the agency and authority to actually know that by changing their lives, they do it out of self-love for themselves. And they also know that as a result of them loving themselves, other people see you loving yourself, and it creates a ripple effect. So if you don't like what you see in the world, change yourself. Because actually, I'm going to go a little woo-woo on you. If you don't like what you're seeing in somebody else, it's actually a reflection of you. That's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it? If somebody is doing something that you don't like, it's actually a reflection of you. Because we just reflect each other day in and day out. I know. I remember the first time I heard that and I didn't want to accept it, but think about it. Think about it. Are you in a partnership? Is your partner driving you nuts? What is it? Is it because your partner won't do something that you want? Okay. So what is that thing that you want your partner to do that your partner's not doing? Okay. Feel free. This is an opportunity to journal. Okay. All right. So whatever that thing is, your partner's not doing, and you really want your partner to do that. What is it saying about yourself? What is it saying about yourself? Chances are, if you start asking the questions, you're going to realize that if your partner is not giving you what you want, there is some deep-rooted belief that you don't deserve it. So in order to actually get your partner, and it's not a matter of getting your partner to do what you want, it's actually a matter of you giving yourself what you want. And then your partner can choose from there whether your partner wants to do that thing too, or it might actually be time for the relationship to go. Do you know how many divorces there have been since COVID? Yeah. There's a reason for that, okay? COVID is an opportunity. Okay, here we go. I'm going to say something outrageous again. Stay with me. COVID is an opportunity for us to up-level and evolve. That's all it is. Okay, and if you're thinking, but there's a pandemic every 100 years. Well, that's because every 100 years we get the opportunity to grow and evolve, and we can decide how we're going to use that 100-year pandemic. How many people do you know pivoted during the pandemic? How many people do you know that maybe changed their mind about certain things that are going on when it comes to medical interventions? Yeah. How many people do you know who maybe weren't awake in the beginning of the pandemic, but are slowly awakening to the truth now? Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of a loudmouth. And like I said in other episodes, it's going to get louder and louder and louder because I believe that this is my dharma and this is how I'm meant to serve and help people, is by waking them up. Waking them up by helping them discover, first of all, that they are worth having inner peace at all times. They are worth having really great, radiant health. They are worth having financial abundance. Yes, even during a recession. Do you know that my mentor told me this yesterday? And I've heard this before. More millionaires are created during recessions than in non-recessions. Now, if you go fact check that and you find that that's not accurate and you come up with numbers that disprove that, please let me know. But if you think about the ratio, right? The ratio of individuals who just throw in the towel and say, the economy's bad, so I'm not going to do anything except stay at my cushy job and wait for the economy to pass. Or, the economy's bad, I'm not going to buy my house until it gets better. And then, like they allow external circumstances to dictate their influence and their potential. And they allow external things to dictate how they're going to feel today, right? And that's, again, why I created the masterclass, how to be at inner peace at all times, no matter what the circumstances, because you can actually be at inner peace and navigate a difficult situation. And as a result of having the inner peace and of having that higher vibration, you will be able to navigate that challenge a hell of a lot more easier, won't you? So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to be at a state of inner peace when you're navigating, whatever it is that you're navigating, or in a state of fear, worry, shame, anger, etc.? What do you prefer? What do you think is more powerful? Right? And here's another thing about power. Powerful people stand as the source of their own power. Powerful people stand as the source of their own power. I did not create that quote. It came from, I think it was a mentor of one of my mentors. I don't remember her name, but powerful people stand as the source of their own power. What does that mean? It means that you don't need anything in order to be powerful. You just need yourself. You just need yourself, and you need to get out of your fear and your worry and know that you are worth it. You are worthy of having all the things in your life that you desire, because you realize that by doing this work, you are going to have the better life. You're going to make a better life for your family and for your children, because they're going to say, look at mom, look at dad, look at grandma, grandpa, look at auntie, uncle, look at my best friend. He or she or they are happy and in their joy, and I want what they are doing. That is the ripple effect. That is the ripple effect. So it starts with you. And you are personally responsible. If you want the change in the world, it's really on you to make the changes yourself. And it starts with one person. It starts with one person. So if you're ready and you want to really just dive into this, first of all, come to my masterclass, okay? November 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will get the replay. And second of all, know this. In order to see the change in the world, you need to be that change. And that's the quote by Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world, or be the change you want to see in the world. And when you start to look at it as like, this is my personal responsibility, right? If I want change, then I need to change. Like it is actually your personal responsibility to change. So I trust that if you listen this far, for almost 40 minutes in at this point, that I'm going to see you November 10th, 2022 at my masterclass, How to Be in a State of Inner Peace at All Times, Despite Your Circumstances. And if you sign up, you'll get the replay and you'll have access to it as many times as you need, because I do think that these are going to be lessons that you need to revisit more than once, right? Change takes time, and change takes patience. And oftentimes we need to practice over and over and over again until we get it. And then even then, I've been on this journey for a long time. I'm still learning my lessons. I'm going to learn my lessons until my last breath on this planet. So I'll link it up in the show notes, and I trust you will be there. And I really appreciate you listening to this podcast. I know that my message is impactful. I know it is. I know that I'm living my dharma. I know I'm doing what I am supposed to be doing in order to help humanity grow and evolve and be in inner peace and do all the things that can bring inner peace to this world. Bring inner peace, then peace to this world. So thank you for listening, and thank you for allowing me to live my life's purpose. And until next time, goddesses, be radiant, be powerfully authentic, and know that you can reclaim your fire at any time. Take care. Ciao. Hi, this is Angela Noel, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you have found value in listening to this podcast, I would be so grateful if you could kindly share this podcast with those you care about. Please help me spread the word of empowerment and possibility and expansion by sharing this podcast. Or you could also leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Remember to follow me on Instagram at I am Angela Noel, or you could go to my website at www.angelanoelinternational.com to learn more about my work and to find out how you can work with me. Thank you very much.